Gee whiz.
Hello, friends. My name is John Henderson. Welcome to this series of old-time radio show episodes called Gee Whiz. These are the stories of the schemes, trials, and loves of the typical American teenagers, Andy Hardy, Archie Andrews, and Henry Aldrich. Coming up, we've got a famous Hardy family movie, but first, the Aldrich family. Now, way back in the time leading up to the American Revolutionary War, there was a grassroots militia called the Minutemen. So here, during the Second World War, the government used Minuteman imagery to encourage self-directed war funding.
The Defense Savings Program, to me, is not only a means of assuring the rehabilitation of the United States after the war, but it permits me to conserve the things that I have during the present emergency.
Here at the tail end of winter, this episode is from April 1st, 1943.
Postum presents
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
Postum presents The Aldrich Family, written by Clifford Goldsmith. Entertainment for all the family, brought to you by Postum, a tempting, wholesome drink for all the family. Postum. Have you noticed, friends, how a mother can sing as simple a melody as that to a baby? And very often, even before she's finished the song, that baby is sunk in sweet, sound slumber. But as we grow older, many of us lose the ability to slip off to sleep quickly. And isn't that particularly true about some of you who drink coffee? For coffee does keep many people awake, even though others can drink it without ill effect. If you happen to be one of the wakeful ones, it might be sensible to switch to Postum, which contains no caffeine or other stimulant. Nothing at all that can possibly rob you of sleep. Postum has a grand flavor, you know, rich, full-bodied, the kind of drink that makes you fairly expand with satisfaction. So if you think coffee disturbs your sleep, start now to make Postum your regular mealtime drink instead of coffee. Give it a fair trial, and then see if you're not pleased as punch that you switched. First, because you're sleeping so much better, and second, because Postum is such a really swell drink. A boy is a boy, and that's all there is to it. He gets into difficulty somehow, and he gets out of them somehow, like Henry Aldrich. But what happens in between is usually unforgettable. The scene opens at the Aldrich dinner table.
Will you have another piece of cherry pie, Sam?
No, thank you, Alice.
Sam, are you upset about something?
Who, I, Alice? No, what makes you think I'm upset?
Well, dear, you've hardly spoken during this entire dinner.
Well, frankly, I don't for the life of me see why you had to invite Homer over here for dinner and to spend the night.
Sam, I had to. His mother and father have gone over to Abbott City. And besides, one more person certainly isn't going to make any great difference.
But, Alice, do you realize it's 20 minutes after 8 and we're finishing dinner and Henry and Homer haven't even shown up yet?
Yes, dear, and I'm going to speak to both of them. Although the only thing I feel bad about is these potato pancakes.
And that's another thing, Alice. How did we happen to have potato pancakes?
Well, I was going to have creamed cauliflower, but Homer says he doesn't eat it.
That's still no excuse for potato pancakes.
Sam, they're one of Homer's favorite dishes. That's also why I went to the trouble of making a cherry pie. Homer loves cherries.
Then I say the least he could have done was to have been here in time to eat them. Just where are the boys? Can't we phone them someplace?
Well, I don't know where they are. They left here right after school and went out to sell war bonds.
They're selling war bonds?
Yes, dear. They've both been made Minutemen.
Minutemen? Well, they're an hour and a quarter late. Alice, how do you know something hasn't happened to them?
Now, Sam, just be sensible. They certainly aren't very far away. Oh, that may be Henry right now. He wants you to come and get him someplace.
You tell Henry that wherever he is, he's to start for home at once.
Yes, dear. Hello? Yes, Mrs. Kendall, this is Mrs. Aldrich. Oh, really? Really, this afternoon? You don't say so. Well, Mrs. Kendall, I'll tell him. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Alice, did you tell him his dinner's getting cold?
Sam, that was Mrs. Kendall, and she's terribly upset.
Yes? What's the trouble?
Well, she just discovered Henry made out a war bond pledge for her to sign, and she thought it was for $100, and it was for $1,000.
Yes?
And he also left one of his fur-lined gloves there.
At the Kendalls? Alice, the Kendalls live at least 1.5 miles out of town.
Yes, dear, on the North Road. But 1.5 miles isn't so far.
I know, but it started to snow. It's snowing hard, and I say they ought to be here.
Did you get your folks, Henry?
No, Homer. Gee whiz, the line's still busy.
Boy.
Every time I call him, it seems to be busy.
Boys, we just had a phone call for you.
You did, Mrs. Cooper, from my father?
From your father? No, from Mrs. Snyder. She lives about 1 mile on up the road.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes, she called to ask whether you know you left one of your overshoes at her house.
We did. Oh, boy, look, it's mine.
Now listen, Homer, you're getting more darn careless.
Well, I can't remember everything, Henry. I have to carry all our pencils and all our bond information, don't I?
Say, aren't you boys sort of hungry?
Hungry?
I've got some nice corned beef and cabbage out in the kitchen I could warm up for you.
Oh, no, Henry's mother has a swell dinner waiting for us. She fixed some potato pancakes and a cherry pie, just because I like them.
Potato pancakes and cherry pie.
Sure. As a matter of fact, I like any kind of cherries, just so long as they're canned.
Well, you're easy to please, aren't you?
Jane.
Yes, Will, I'll be right there.
Henry, don't you think you ought to try phoning your folks again?
Well, I'll try, Homer. But my folks know we're out selling bonds, and if they aren't worried, why should we get upset?
I'll answer it, Alice. If that's the boys, I want to speak to them. Hello? Yes, this is Samuel Aldrich.
Who is it, Sam?
It's long distance.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello?
Sam, who is it?
Hello? Alice, it's Homer's mother.
Oh, my goodness, from way over in Abbott City?
Yes, Elizabeth, Homer's fine. No, he's no trouble at all. Mrs. Aldrich made some potato pancakes for him tonight, and you want to speak to them? Well, Elizabeth, right this minute, he and Henry stepped out for a few minutes, but there's nothing to worry about, I don't think. Yes, Elizabeth, we'll see that he wears his overshoes. Yes, goodbye.
Sam, do you realize it's going on 9 o'clock?
Well, what if it is?
But don't you realize it's snowing out and Henry has only one glove?
I know it, Alice, but you told me not to worry.
Dear, if Elizabeth Brown was worried enough to call all the way from Abbott City, it seems to me the least you can do is worry a little. Sam, let me answer it. I'll see who it is. Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. Aldrich. Yes, Mr. Edmonds. My goodness, 2 hours ago? His earmuffs? Well, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Where is he?
Henry left his earmuffs at the Edmonds out on the North Road nearly 2 hours ago.
At the Edmonds? That means they're getting farther and farther away from home.
And Sam, just listen to that wind howl out there.
Well, I know what I'm going to do.
Sam, where are you going?
Get my hat and coat.
You mean you're going to look for them? But, Sam, do you think you can drive the car through this snowstorm?
Now, don't worry about me, Alice. It's the boys you've got to think about.
Those boys comfortable in the other room, Jane?
Yes, Will. And, Will, don't say anything, but I'm going to surprise them.
Yes?
I'm going to fix them some potato pancakes and open a can of cherries.
Yeah. Was that all?
Well, one of them says it's all he ever eats.
Yes?
Mr. Cooper?
Yes, sir. I'll be right there.
Mr. Cooper, are you sure your phone works all right?
I don't know why it shouldn't. You boys wouldn't like to stay overnight, would you?
Oh, no thanks. If we don't get home before long, my folks might begin to wonder where we are.
Sorry we couldn't buy a bond from you boys. If we only had some way to get our cow into town and sell her, I'd be able to buy one.
You would, Mr. Cooper?
Yeah, but my truck's broken down.
Henry, why couldn't we help him get his cow into town?
Sure. We could walk her in for you.
Well, if you want to come out and get her someday, she's right out there in the barn.
And you'll buy a war bond?
We'll turn every cent we can get for her into bonds.
Will, where's the can opener?
Just a minute, Jane. I'll be right there.
Boy, Henry, I'll bet if we could sell that cow, we'd get $50 for her.
50, Homer. 50? Are you crazy?
Is that too much for a good cow?
Too much, Homer. Gee whiz, I heard of a cow once selling for $1,000.
1,000?
Or maybe it was 2,000 or 3,000.
Just an ordinary cow?
What do you mean ordinary? She gave something like 5 tons of butter a year. Does that sound very ordinary?
5 tons of butter?
Sure.
Are you sure it was butter?
Homer, the point is we can sell Mr. Cooper a bond.
Oh. Well, listen, Henry, is that the wind I hear outside?
Boy, we ought to be getting started for home.
What do you say we take a look out the front door?
Put your things on first, Homer.
I'm putting them on.
Come on, let's take a look out here.
Oh, boy. Henry, do you think we ought to go home tonight?
We've got to. Don't you realize we're going to sell more bonds tomorrow, and we've got to get an early start?
Well, that's true. Well, let's get started. Oh, Mrs. Cooper.
Mrs. Cooper! Mr. Cooper! I wonder where they are.
Henry, don't leave their door open like that. Close it and come on.
Okay. Now, don't push me, Homer.
I'm not pushing you. I'm just hanging on to it.
Listen, Homer, I've got an idea. Boy, if we can do it.
Good evening, Mrs. Edmonds.
Good evening, Mr. Aldrich. What are you doing way out here? Come on in out of the snow.
Thank you. I understand Henry and a friend of his were out here, and I thought you might give me some information as to which way they went.
Well, as I recall it, they were here about 6 o'clock. Mr. Edmonds bought a bond from them. Oh, and incidentally, here are Henry's earmuffs.
Oh, thank you.
But I have no idea as to which direction they went from here, Mr. Aldrich.
No? Do you mind if I use your phone, Mrs. Edmonds?
No, help yourself. It's right here.
Thank you. Hello?
Number, please.
Elm 303.
Elm 303.
Please.
You mean your boy's lost?
Oh, no. No, Henry isn't lost, but it's getting on toward 10 o'clock, and naturally we feel more comfortable.
Hello?
Hello, is this you, Alice?
Yes, dear, where are you?
I'm out at the Edmonds.
Well, my goodness, Sam, they announced on the radio that the storm was getting worse and the cars were getting stuck. And I phoned for a tow truck to go out and find you.
Alice, why did you do that?
Because I hadn't heard from you, Sam. Did you find the boy?
No, Alice, I thought that maybe by this time you would have some word from them.
Well, I've had one phone call, Sam, from the Joneses.
The Joneses?
They live out on the North Road. And Mr. Jones says Henry and Homer had been there, and that after they left, he found an automatic pencil with your name on it.
My pencil?
Yes, dear.
Well, that's a fine thing. Alice, I'm going to have a talk with Henry.
Now, dear, let's not worry about a pencil at a time like this. Let's find the boys.
All right.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye. Mrs. Edmonds.
Yes, Mr. Aldrich.
Which direction do the Joneses live from here?
Well, you want to go on out this road about 2 more miles.
2 miles?
Yes. Are the boys out there?
No, but they've been out that way.
Mr. Aldrich, I've just been talking with Mr. Edmonds, and he's going to take his car and work in the other direction.
You sure it won't be too much trouble?
No, not at all. He went to bed a little early tonight, but just as soon as he gets his clothes on, he'll be starting.
Oh, thanks. Some night out.
Mr. Aldrich, don't you want me to get you a paper bag to put those earmuffs in?
No, thank you. I'll put them right on.
Boy, is this some night, Homer?
Keep your head down, Henry, and sort of walk backwards.
What do you think I'm doing? Boy.
Henry, look ahead. There's a truck or something.
Where?
Right down the road. It's just standing there.
Oh, boy. Come on.
I'm coming. There's only so fast I can go, though, Henry. Gee whiz, I'm not Hercules.
Look, Homer, it's a tow truck. Hey, mister! Mister!
Who's that?
It's us! Can you give us a lift, please?
Okay, if I can get out of this drift here.
Well, gee whiz, are you going all the way into Centerville?
Yep. Just as soon as I find a car I'm out looking for. Hop on the back.
Well, look, do you have room for a cow on your truck?
What's that?
We've got this cow, see? We're taking her into town for a guy, and we're going to surprise him.
You're what?
Sure. He wants to buy a bond.
Say, ain't she cold?
Oh, gee, no. We got 2 blankets tied around her.
Jane, how are you coming? Shall I tell the boys to come into their supper?
Not for another minute, Will. I want to get these potato pancakes a little bit browner.
I knew all the time we'd find a can of cherries down the cellar. Just a case of our keeping on, we located them.
Didn't I hear Bess mooing when we came up from the cellar?
Well, what if you did? She's all right.
She's good and warm out there in the barn.
Of course she is. She likes the cold.
All right, Will. You better call them.
Boys, Mrs. Cooper has a little surprise for you. Boys.
Tell them to hurry right up, Will.
Boys. Oh, boys!
Bess. Come on. Come with Henry.
You know, Henry, she isn't a bad cow, is she?
No, she isn't. And I think she likes walking better than she did riding on that truck.
Boy, that wasn't a lot of work. Just nicely got her on the darn thing, and he runs right into another drift.
That driver was a nice guy, though. It was very decent of him to promise to buy a bond from us.
Oh, wait a second, Henry, wait a second.
What's the matter?
Have we gotten off the road a little?
Oh, boy, where'd this snowdrift come from? Now, wait, Homer. Get around on the other side of her, and we'll try to back her out.
Oh, wait a second, Henry, wait a second. I think she's getting cold around the ears.
Well, what are you going to do?
Tie my muffler around her head. What do you think?
Well, gee whiz, that's a good idea. Then she'll be really comfortable.
Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. Aldrich's residence. Why, no, Mr. Kilmer, I hadn't heard a word from Sam. Yes, Mr. Kilmer, they went right out on the North Road. Well, if you don't mind taking your car out on a night like this, I'd certainly appreciate it.
Gee, Homer, it's nice and warm in here.
Yeah, boy. Imagine finding a roadside stand open this time of night.
Boy, I wish we had a little money with us.
I'll say. Something smells good, doesn't it?
Homer, are you sure you tied Bess real tight?
Sure, I tied her with a special slip knot I learned from a guy.
She ought to be very comfortable where we left her. There isn't any wind there or anything.
Something I can do for you, boys?
Oh, why, no, ma'am. We couldn't have a sort of a drink of water, could we?
A drink of water?
Yeah, we've been out in that darn storm, and are we thirsty?
Which way are you driving?
We're not driving, we're walking.
Walking?
Yeah, we've been selling war bonds, and I guess we got a little further out than we thought we had.
You've been selling bonds?
Yeah.
Had any dinner?
No, ma'am. That's why we'd sort of appreciate a glass of water, if it wouldn't be too much trouble.
Well, you certainly ought to have something to eat. I'll be glad to fix you up.
Free of charge, free of charge.
You want a hamburger and some soup?
A hamburger?
The only thing is, you don't have any potato pancakes, do you?
Potato pancakes?
And canned cherries? I sort of had my mind made up for those all day.
Potato pancakes?
And do you have any hay?
Any hay?
Sure, for Bess. She's outside.
Henry, she wouldn't want some corn, too, would she?
No, Homer. It might upset her.
Well, I can get you the potato cakes and the cherries, but I can't get you the rest.
Well, that's all right. I think Bess had a little supper before we left anyhow.
Say, boys, have either of you got a shotgun?
What's that? A shotgun?
Yeah, there's a moose outside here.
Gee whiz, a moose!
Scared the daylights out of me. First it made a noise like a cow, and then as it swung around the building here and headed out toward the road, I saw it was a big, shaggy moose.
Homer, come on.
Listen, Henry, I'm not going to chase any moose.
Where'd it go, mister? Where'd it go?
He headed right up the road there.
Homer, aren't you coming? That's Bess. Come on.
Well, I don't know. It begins to look as if Homer Brown would never get those potato pancakes, doesn't it? On the other hand, by the time he and Henry plow through another mile or two of cold and snow, they may be lots more interested in something good and hot to drink. And that could very well be Postum. For Postum is certainly a good drink, and served piping hot in the cup with cream or top milk added to taste, Postum has a look that says, "Drink me," in capital letters. And as for taste, it's my opinion there isn't a mealtime drink made that can beat that tantalizing goodness, that lusty, robust Postum flavor. A flavor that's really distinctive, really unusual. Now, that means you mustn't expect when you try it that Postum is going to taste like coffee any more than you'd expect coffee to taste like tea. Remember, Postum has its own special goodness. And like as not, when you've once discovered how very good that is, you and Postum will be mealtime partners the rest of your days. So tomorrow, get Postum at your grocer's. And tomorrow night, get set to enjoy one of America's great mealtime drinks, Postum. Now getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Henry and his friend Homer, out selling war bonds, have been unable to get back home in time for dinner because of a heavy blizzard. The scene opens on a road some distance outside Centerville. The time is very late at night.
Aren't you Mr. Aldrich from Centerville?
I am.
Well, guess you're the fellow I was sent out to tow in.
Oh, yeah?
How'd you get your car sideways across the road like this?
Well, I've been out looking for my son and a friend of his, and I was driving along, and I know you won't believe me, but coming right up the road toward me, I saw a bear.
What's that?
A big black bear. He was walking on all fours, and I jammed on the brakes and swerved around like this.
Well, Mr. Aldrich, there aren't any bears in this part of the country.
That's what I thought, but I saw it with my own eyes. What's that, another car trying to get by?
Hey, what's the trouble there? There's a fella here says he was just attacked by a bear.
What's that? Look, while you're hooking on, I'll go into this roadside stand here and phone my wife.
Something I can do for you?
Good evening. You have a telephone here?
Sure, right over there by that jukebox.
By the way, you couldn't be fixing something up for me that's hot, could you?
Well, I've got a special on tonight. Potato pancakes.
Potato pancake? No, thanks. I'll just telephone.
Come on, Homer. Come on in the house.
I'm coming. Boy, am I cold.
Mother will fix us up with something right away. Mother!
Mrs. Aldrich.
Mother! Father! Gee whiz, do you suppose they've gone out?
Come on, Henry. Let's see what's out in the kitchen.
You know, I think Bess is going to be very comfortable where we left her.
I don't know why she shouldn't be.
Look, Homer, look in the icebox. Your favorite food.
What is it, Henry? What is it?
Potato pancakes.
And boy, do I like 'em cold.
And look, Homer, there's half a cherry pie there.
Oh, boy, we'll split it, Henry.
Here, put it on here over on the kitchen table.
Okay. Oh, boy, what a dinner. Oh, boy.
Now, listen, Homer, when you cut that pie, at least use a knife.
It breaks all right, Henry. It breaks very nicely. Hand me a potato pancake.
Don't bother me, Homer. I just found something.
What?
A note here. It's for my father. It says, Sam, Harriet called and thinks they might have gone to the movies. Have gone down to the movies to look.
Who wrote it?
My mother. Who do you think? Wait, I wonder if it's a good picture she's seen.
Aren't you going to eat anything, Henry?
Here, Homer, use a fork. Remember, you're a guest.
I don't need a fork. I'll just roll them up and slip them in.
Answer the phone, will you, while I catch up with you?
Okay.
Homer, won't you please hurry?
I'm going to answer it, Henry. I've got to get my mouth emptied first, though. Hello? Who? Well, this is Homer Brown. Oh, gee whiz, is that you, Mother? Sure, this is Homer. Well, I haven't been any place. Oh, we got a cow, see? A cow! We're going to turn it into war bonds. No, Mr. and Mrs. Aldrich aren't here. They've gone to the movies. Sure. And in a few minutes, I'm going to bed.
Sam, is that you?
Yes, Alice.
My goodness, dear, where have you been?
Where have I been? Where have I been?
Where are the boys? Haven't you found them?
No, Alice. All I found were these earmuffs, this overshoe, and my pencil. Where were you when I was trying to phone you?
Sam, didn't you get my note?
What note?
Oh, of course you didn't, dear. How could you? I've been down to the movies.
You went to the movies?
Yes, dear, and I just called Harriet and gave her a piece of my mind.
What about?
She gets the silliest ideas, Sam. First she called me and said she thought she'd seen the boys going to the movies earlier in the evening. And now what do you think she says?
What?
She says there's a story going around that somebody saw a bear out on the edge of town.
What's wrong with that?
What?
I saw a bear myself.
Now, Sam.
I did, Alice. That's how I got stuck.
Has something gone wrong with the car?
No, it's all right now. I've got it out in front. And what I want to know is where I'm going to look for the boys next. Alice. Did you hear what I just heard?
No, dear. What was it?
Well, I'm not sure, but it sounded like a cow.
Now, Sam, first you see a bear, and then you come home and hear cows.
I don't know what it is I hear, but it's certainly something, and I'm going out to see what it is.
But, Sam... Hello? What's that, Mrs. Edmonds? Mr. Edmonds is back home? He had to leave his car on a hill. Oh, isn't that a shame? Mr. Aldrich left what at your place? His scarf? Well, thank you so much for calling.
Mother!
Goodbye.
Mother, is that you down there?
Henry Aldrich, where are you?
Gee whiz, I've been in bed. Did you see a good picture?
Henry, what's happened to Homer?
Oh, me, Mrs. Aldrich? I'm all right. I just have a little stomach ache.
For some reason, Mother, we weren't able to get to sleep.
May I ask where you've been?
Selling bonds, Mother. And it looks as though we're going to break all the records.
Boy, I'll say. We sold a bond at darn near every place we went to.
But, dear...
Oh, gee, look at my earmuffs. Did I leave these here before I started off today?
Henry, your father found those.
Father? Where is he?
He's outside, dear. And when he comes in, I wouldn't bother him very much.
Is something wrong with him, Mrs. Aldrich?
He's tired, Homer. Very tired. And so much on edge he even thinks he hears a cow.
A cow, Mother?
Yes, dear. He just stepped out to look for one.
Gee whiz, Henry, do you suppose Bess is calling us?
Who?
Bess, Mother, Bess. Our war bond cow.
Sure, Mrs. Aldrich. We're going to surprise a farmer.
Surprise a what?
A farmer, Mother. We're going to sell his cow for him.
Where?
Where?
Henry, where is the cow?
Out in the garage.
In the garage?
Sure, we brought her all the way into town.
Through this storm?
Yes, Mother, but we kept her good and warm.
And we now have a cow out in our garage?
Sure. We even gave her some oatmeal.
Boy, did she lap it up.
Now, dear, oatmeal.
Sure, Mother, we even put some milk on it.
Milk? You gave her some of our milk?
Oh, no, Mrs. Aldrich. We drew some off of her and poured it on the oatmeal.
Well, boys, if I were you, I'd go back upstairs before your father comes in.
Right now?
Right now.
Will you promise to call us, Mrs. Aldrich, if he feels Bess wants us?
Yes, dear.
Come on, Homer. As a matter of fact, I'm beginning to feel the strain a little myself.
Same here. At least I want to lie down.
Alice,
Yes, Sam?
I know you'll say I'm seeing things, but there is a cow in our garage.
Well, yes, dear, of course there is.
What's that?
The boys put her there.
What boys?
Henry and Homer, they're upstairs in bed.
Why didn't you tell me? What did they bring a cow home for?
Well, Sam...
Of all...
Now, Sam, where are you going?
I'm going up and have a talk with them.
Now, Sam, come back here.
What for?
Don't you realize those boys have been selling bonds all day?
That's no excuse, Alice. Think of what I've been through tonight.
But, dear, think of what they've been through, too. They sold a bond at every house they went to.
Yes?
And that cow, Sam, that upset you so. Do you realize what that cow is?
What?
A war bond pledge.
What's that?
Yes, dear. And they led her all the way back to town through this storm and everything. They hadn't even had supper. My goodness, Sam, don't you realize what that means?
But, Alice, they might have given us a little consideration.
Sam, they hadn't even given themselves consideration. There's only one thing that was important, and that was to sell just as many bonds as they possibly could. That's the only spirit with which we're going to win this whole war.
Well...
Mother?
Yes, dear?
Could you come take a look at Homer?
At Homer?
Yes, please. He's beginning to think the cherries in that pie weren't pitted.
Friends, you can get Postum in two forms, Postum and Instant Postum. Instant Postum is the quick and easy way to make 1 cup or 6, because Instant Postum dissolves instantly in your cup by just adding boiling water. No matter which form of Postum you choose, however, you can count on enjoying a delightful and distinctive treat. For Postum is one of America's great mealtime drinks.
Here you are, Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, Mr. Aldrich?
Here's the money the boys got when they sold your cow.
Well, thank you.
And now you can sign a pledge for a bond.
Well, it certainly was nice of you to drive all the way out here. Won't you stay and have a little bite of lunch with us?
Can we, Father?
Why, fine, fine.
All right, I'll go out to the kitchen and put the potato pancakes on.
Potato pancake? Now, wait.
Listen again next week, same time, same station, for another sparkling half hour with your favorite youngster, his family, and his pals. The Aldrich Family is written by Clifford Goldsmith. The original musical score is conducted by Jack Miller. And this is Dan Seymour saying, your host tonight is Postum, and Postum is one of America's great mealtime drinks. It's good drinking. Good night.
That was the Aldrich family from 1943, and now we go to the Hardy family. This is an episode which is previewing the movie Love Finds Andy Hardy. My wife and I watched this recently, and one part where we had a good chuckle was when Mother, the mother character, is too nervous to open a telegram because she fears it's bad news. And Judge Hardy says, "Why, telegrams are as common today as a postcard. Yes, the telegram is here to stay." In addition to the preview of that movie, they talk about some Hollywood news. Most of it is self-explanatory, basically just movie stars. Spencer Tracy, Jimmy Stewart, Robert Taylor. Myrna Loy and William Powell were famous for the Thin Man movies.
We're all like that on my father's side.
By the way, how is your father's side?
Oh, it's much better, thanks. And yours?
Say, how many drinks have you had?
This will make 6 martinis.
All right. Will you bring me 5 more martinis? Leo, line them right up here.
Yes, ma'am.
Now Myrna Loy was going to be starring in a movie with Clark Gable called Too Hot to Handle, where she plays a pilot.
They say the ammunition's on fire. We'll go any minute.
Let's get out of here.
Here comes your close-up.
Okay.
Listen for the musical selection, You're Only Young Once. That's the theme song to the Hardy family movies. So enjoy this extended movie preview from 1938.
Leo is on the air. This is your MGM reporter flashing you 15 minutes of facts, fables, and fancies from Hollywood, quaintest and likewise most famous village on earth, a miniature city housing the world's most glamorous personalities, the movie stars, and they're always news. And now, while we check the proofs, let Nat Finston and the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Orchestra carry on with You're Only Young Once. Take it away, music men. Thank you, Nat Finston, and well done. Now for the news. William Powell and Myrna Loy are tabbed as the foremost Mr. and Mrs. of the screen. But don't overlook Clark Gable. Actually, it is Clark that is setting the pace in the race for Miss Loy's screen affections. Within recent months, acclaimed by one of the most widely read of the news syndicates, the king and queen of the screen, Clark and Myrna soon will appear as co-stars for the 7th time in the forthcoming, roaring newsreel drama, Too Hot to Handle. Hollywood stand-ins are up in arms. For those who do not know what a stand-in is, we'll explain. The stand-in is the man or woman who stands before the camera in the star's place, while cameramen, soundmen, electricians, and other technicians make ready to film a scene. When all is in readiness, the star steps in, and the scene is filmed. The stand-ins, not to be confused with doubles, claim their title lacks dignity and want to be called star replicas. Well, let them have their way. What's in a name? Unless it's Spencer Tracy or Jimmy Stewart. Robert Taylor, by the way, isn't a bad name to pack around. Your MGM reporter has a surprise on tap. And while I'm making final arrangements to smuggle you onto stage 25 of the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer studio, I'll ask Nat Finston to come to our rescue. He's a man of few words, but much music. He, too, may have a surprise on tap. Who knows but what he plans to accompany Judy Garland in an odds-on favorite for the hit parade, Meet the Beat of My Heart, a Gordon Revell creation, specially written for the fourth and the best of the Judge Hardy family series, Love Finds Andy Hardy. We'll let you guess who plays Andy. Give, Maestro Finston.
There he goes. Have you ever seen such perfection? There he goes. My one and my only selection. He can make most any dream come true. Let me introduce him. Oh, let me introduce him to you. Meet the beat of my heart. Meet the reason I beam so. Why I'm happy and seem so delighted, excited, and got such a glow. Meet the beat of my heart. Meet the time and the weather, the tick that holds me together. Without him beside me, I never could go on. Why do birdies sing all the day? What started spring on its way? Oh, if you want to know the inspiration, meet the beat of my heart. Meet the song I'm rehearsing. You're gonna meet heaven in person when you meet the beat of my heart.
Arrangements have been made for all of us to slip onto stage 25 and hear a scene actually filmed for Love Finds Andy Hardy. Our guess is that you've guessed by now that Andy is played by Mickey Rooney, and right you are. We'll frankly admit that Mickey Rooney has more problems than most continental counts. He has 3 girls on the string, and the question is, which of the 3 should he take to the Christmas dance? He decides the best way out is to have a good man-to-man chat with his father, Judge Hardy, played by Louis Stone.
Look, Dad, can I talk to you man-to-man?
That's the way I always wanted to be.
Well, man-to-man, Dad. Can a guy be in love with 2 girls at once?
So, both estimable young ladies?
Huh? Oh, well, we just do a little hugging and kissing, Dad. I mean, good, clean fun, just like Polly and me.
Object matrimony?
Matrimony? Oh, Dad, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to get married ever.
That's a momentous decision.
At least not till I'm middle age, 25 or 26.
That's a sound idea.
But, Dad, I don't understand these modern girls.
In what way?
Well, Polly, for instance, sometimes she won't let you kiss her at all. But there's Cynthia. Oh, she'll let you kiss her whenever you want to. If she doesn't want to swim, she doesn't want to play tennis, go for walks, all she does is want to kiss you. I'm a nervous wreck.
Well, of the 2 degrees of kissing, which seems the most desirable to you?
Well, when you want to kiss a girl and she won't let you, you want to kiss her all the time. But there's Cynthia. Dad, do you think there's anything wrong with a guy if he doesn't want a girl kissing him all the time?
What would you say?
Oh, I don't know. But I figured out when I only had 3 more days to go around with Cynthia, I felt like a free man for the first time in 2 weeks.
3 more days?
Yeah, I promised to date her up for Beezy till Christmas, to save her for him. For $8. For $8 that I needed for...
Now, remember, this is man to man.
Well, you'll know anyway tomorrow, Pop, so I might as well tell you. I gave Peter Dugan $12 out of my bank account for down payment on a car and promised to give him the remaining $8 by the 23rd.
Oh. Was this before or after we had that little talk about cars?
Before, Dad. Before, honest, I wouldn't have done it after. But I was already stuck for the $12.
Mickey's problems are far from solved. Let's let the picture reveal how he works them out. But if we hurry, maybe Judy has time to sing just one more number. It never rains, but what it pours.
Did you ever wake up in the morning and grumble as you tumble out of bed? You stub your toe, ouch. You hit your elbow, ooh. You bump your head, ooh. You step on a tack and you let out a howl. There's soap inside and you can't find the towel. You try to comb your hair but can't arrange it. Spill orange juice on your dress and have to change it. then all day long, everything you touch goes wrong. Teacher told us when this happens to never whine or wail. The same thing happens in life, but on a very much larger scale. It never rains, but what it pours. If Lady Luck should happen to desert you, a bit of rain is never gonna hurt you. So wait and the skies will be blue. It never rains, but what it pours. So what if all your troubles come in bunches? Keep sticking to your silly little hunches, and the sun will come shining through. Bide your time and keep on humming. Don't you frown and sit around and weep. Wait your turn, your day is coming, and you'll be there on top of the heap. It never rains, but it pours. May as well get all your worries over. From then on, you're gonna be in clover. Smile when you should cry. For every cloud, there'll be a rainbow. There'll be a sunbeam for every raindrop.
Your MGM reporter is fortunate to have been able to bring you these studio glimpses, particularly the highlights from the new picture, Love Finds Andy Hardy. Another, and we think, the best of the Hardy family pictures. Critics already have acclaimed it one of the funniest pictures ever made and recommended it for everyone's must-see list. Love Finds Andy Hardy stars Judge Hardy's family, Louis Stone, Mickey Rooney, Cecilia Parker, and Fay Holden, together with Judy Garland, Lana Turner, and Ann Rutherford. On this program, you have heard members of the cast with musical accompaniments directed by Nat Finston. This is your MGM reporter saying thank you for listening.
Well, now I've got to see that movie again. That was the Hardy family from 1938, and now, once again, the Aldrich family. This is from April 15th, 1943.
The Aldrich Family, a special rebroadcast for you soldiers, sailors, and Marines of the United Nations.
Give a teenage boy a problem to solve, and you start what always turns out to be a wrestling match, with the boy and the problem alternately throwing each other. Henry Aldrich, however, usually ends up victorious, but gasping. The scene opens at the Aldrich breakfast table.
Could I have the cream, please, Father?
Here you are, Henry.
Thank you. Boy.
Dear, it isn't necessary to eat your breakfast as though you were going to some kind of a race.
But, Mother, I'm in a hurry. I've got a very full day. Boy.
Henry, can't you slow down just a little?
Alice, I don't like to undermine your discipline, but I happen to know Henry does have a very full day.
Boy, I'll say.
He's got to empty the ashes in the cellar. He's got to pick up the backyard.
Father, that isn't the kind of full day I was thinking of. I've got this list, see?
What list, Henry?
Gee whiz, look at it. Just look at it. One grandfather's clock, one fur coat, man's, one dining room table with chairs, one rose bush.
Now, wait a minute. What is that you're reading?
My list. 1 pound of butter with muffins, 1 fireplace, an egg beater, and a cigar.
What's that, Henry?
A cigar, Mother, for Homer.
What's that? Homer smoking cigars?
No, Father, he doesn't smoke it. He just carries it around in his pocket because he's got a lot of money.
Henry, may I ask what this is all about?
Didn't I tell you, Mother? It's for the school play. And I've got to get all that list by tomorrow night.
How about the ashes?
The ashes, Father? We don't need any ashes.
Henry, do you mind my asking why, if the play is going to be put on tomorrow night, you haven't started to get any of these things before now?
Because they didn't tell me until yesterday that I was to be prop man. Jimmy Bartlett was before that, and they fired him.
They fired him?
Sure. He wasn't good at getting anything at all, so they gave him the lead.
Henry!
What, Mary?
May I ask what Mother's egg beater is doing in your lunchbox?
What's that, Mary?
Oh, now, wait a minute, Mother. I was going to tell you about that egg beater, only Mary brought it up too soon.
I did?
Henry, why are you taking my egg beater?
It's for Kathleen. She makes an entrance, see, from the kitchen, and it shows that's where she came from.
What's that?
Kathleen, Father. Her mother's dad.
Kathleen's mother?
Sure, in the play. And she's keeping house for her father, Homer.
For whom?
For Homer. She's Homer's unspoiled daughter.
Kathleen? Kathleen Anderson is Homer Brown's daughter?
What's so wrong with that, Mary? She's only a couple of months older than he is. And as a matter of fact, the dramatic coach says Homer looks more like an old man than anyone in the school.
Henry, if I let you take our egg beater, will you see that it gets back to me?
Oh, sure, Mother. Gee, I hope you don't think I'd go and leave a perfectly good thing like an egg beater over at the school, do you?
Well, then I'll put it back in your lunchbox.
Thank you. And, Mary, the next time you go searching through my lunchbox, please ask for permission.
Henry, what are you doing under the table?
I'm just looking at the legs, Father. I'm just seeing if they'll come off when I take it over.
When you take it over? When you take what over where?
The dining room table for the play.
Henry, you are not under any circumstances going to take this table.
I can't have it? But, gee whiz, what's Homer going to eat off of?
May I ask what we're going to eat off of?
Couldn't we eat in the kitchen, Father? It's only for 3 days.
Henry, do you remember last year when we loaned our sofa for the school play?
Yes, Father. But that wasn't my fault it fell off the back of the car.
That isn't the point. This dining room table has been in this house for 20 years. If there are those in your school who have never seen a dining room table before, you may bring them over one at a time and let them take a look at it. But that's as far as I'm willing to go.
Okay, then. How about a fur coat? Could I borrow one of those?
A fur coat?
It has to be a man's fur coat. It's for Homer. He's very wealthy, see, and the fur has to be on the inside.
Yes? Well, you've come to the wrong man for a thing like that.
And as a matter of fact, I'd like to get a pair of fur gloves for him, too. And maybe a fur hat.
Exactly where is the scene laid?
In his dining room.
Oh. Homer comes into his dining room wearing a fur coat, a fur hat, and fur gloves and sits down to dinner?
Sure.
I see. He can't get any coal.
He can't? Do you think I ought to get some?
For what?
Hi, Henry. You all ready for school?
I'll be ready in 1 second, Homer.
Good morning, Homer. What's that you have in your mouth?
A piece of bubble gum.
Alice, what was that?
That was me, Mr. Aldrich. Good morning.
Homer, I wouldn't snap my gum in here if I were you.
Oh, sure. Excuse me.
Come on, Homer, while I get my things on.
Okay.
Don't run, dear.
I'm not running.
Listen, Henry, I had an idea last night. You know that place in the play where I take $1,000 out of my pocket and give it to Jimmy Bartlett?
Yeah?
Well, gee, I wouldn't have a whole 1,000 just loose in my pocket, would I?
Why not?
I'd be afraid to carry it around, Henry. Why don't I have a cash register that I take it out of?
A cash register? Right in your dining room?
Well, I can afford one. I'm rich.
I know, but rich people have things like safes.
A safe? Well, I'd settle for a safe. As a matter of fact, that's a very good idea.
Sure, Homer.
Henry, you forgot something in here.
Oh, gee whiz. I know what it is. It's my darn list.
And that, Henry, is one reason why I don't want you to borrow this dining room table.
Father, I agree with you. I agree with you entirely. I've driven the dining room table right out of my head.
Good.
Now, if you could only get me a safe, I'd be perfectly happy.
A what, dear?
A safe, Mother. There's a very important place where Homer has to have one.
Henry, do you realize how much a safe weighs?
Well, I don't mean a big safe, Father, like in a bank. I mean something about...
Yes? Well, you can just drive the safe out of your head, too.
You mean I can't have one?
Hey, Henry, we're going to be late.
I'm coming, Homer. And as a matter of fact, I'm sort of sorry I ever took this darn job.
Goodbye, Henry.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Henry, goodbye.
I guess he didn't hear you, dear. And Sam?
Well?
Dear, don't you think we ought to contribute a little something more than just an egg beater to this play?
You mean you want to let Henry have this table?
Now, dear, I didn't say this table. But don't you think you could at least find him a safe?
Alice, are you...
Sam, this is the first time I've ever seen Henry get so wrapped up in anything. Why, dear, it's the most important thing that has ever happened to him.
Well, where am I going to get a safe?
You've a lot of influence, Sam. And if you explain it's for a high school play, my goodness, I should think there'd be lots of people who could spare a safe for 3 nights.
Hello, Centerville Express office. Yes? Have we got a what? Sure, we got a safe. Who's this speaking? Oh, yes, Mr. Aldrich. Now, could you tell me again what it is you want? A safe to play with? Oh, you're in a play. Oh, I got you. Well, we got one here, yes. Weighs 3.5 tons. What's that?
is a nice, warm, heavy coat that's lined with fur.
I see.
It's for a rather wealthy man that's a widower.
How about my Persian lamb?
Your Persian lamb, Harriet, it has to be a man's coat.
Alice, where would I ever get a man's coat, especially a fur-lined man?
Well, I just thought you might possibly know of someone that has one.
Mother!
Just a minute, Harriet. Henry, are you home from school already?
Yes, Mother. Where's Mary? I think I've got a little job for her.
Dear, I'm talking with your Aunt Harriet about a fur coat for you.
You are? Oh, boy.
Alice, I have another idea.
Really?
Up in one of my closets, there's a leather windbreaker. It's mine, but it's cut like a man's, and it's lined with rabbit.
With rabbit?
It's hip length, Alice.
Just a minute, Harriet. Henry, would rabbit down to the hips be all right?
Just to the hips, Mother? And have Homer's legs show?
Hello, Centerville Coal and Feed. Oh, hello, Mr. Aldrich. What's that, a safe? Mr. Aldrich, I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I didn't hear you. Did you say you were looking for a safe? For your son? Oh, now I understand you. Oh, yes, indeed, we have a very small safe. It's only about 18 inches high. Borrow it? You mean take it away? But, Mr. Aldrich, it's cemented right into the wall.
Mary! Oh, Mary!
Henry, what are you dragging that dead bush into the house for?
Well, that's just what I started to tell you. You know that hat you have, Mary, with the roses on it?
Yes.
Well, look, I'm not asking you to let me do it myself because I might damage it. But I'm perfectly willing to let you do it. And I'll even give you a line of credit on the program.
If I do what?
Haven't I made it clear? All you have to do is very carefully take the roses off your hat and sort of tie them on this bush.
Why, Henry Aldrich, I won't do any such thing.
Well, which part is it you object to?
How do you think I'd feel when the curtain goes up and there's my hat spread all over a bush?
Henry, you wanted on the telephone.
I am, Mother. Oh, boy, is this a day. I'll bet that's about the oysters.
The what?
The oysters. I've been having some trouble digging up some oysters for the second act. Hello?
Hello?
Is this the Centerville Fish Market?
What's that? Is this Henry?
Oh, gee whiz, is that you, Kathleen?
Henry, I told my mother about our dining room table, and she wants to ask you a couple questions.
Sure, Kathleen. I'd be glad to answer anything.
Hello, Henry.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Anderson.
Now, tell me, dear, just how did you plan to use our table?
Well, look, Mrs. Anderson, this fellow that's going to eat off it, his father helped settle the West, see?
The what?
The West.
Yes?
And his portrait hangs right over Homer's sideboard. I got the sideboard all right from Mrs. Lawson, and... oh, boy, it completely slipped my list.
What's the matter, Henry?
Do you have a mirror with cupids?
What's that?
A mirror with cupids on it to hang over a mantel.
No, I don't, Henry. Wouldn't just a plain mirror do?
Oh, no. Jimmy Bartlett has to stand in front of it and kiss Kathleen.
Kathleen? Jimmy Bartlett kisses Kathleen?
Yes, ma'am. Frankly, I'm not any too much in favor of that part myself. But the play calls for a mirror with cupids to be kissed under, and what can I do? My hands are tied.
Henry, I just happened to remember. Would a mirror with a deer head help?
With a what?
We have one with a gilt deer head carved at the top.
But no cupids? Gee, the only thing is... Tell me frankly, Mrs. Anderson, when you stand off at a distance, could you mistake the deer for a cupid?
What's that?
It has horns, hasn't it?
Yes.
Well, don't the horns spread out a little like wings?
Sam, I'm sorry to bother you down here at the office, but I've simply got to have your help.
That's all right. I'm glad you dropped in. Alice, I think I have an idea that's going to solve the whole business.
Well, what is it, dear?
Why rent a safe that has to be hauled all the way up to the high school auditorium when they have steel lockers right in their own gymnasium?
Steel lockers?
All they have to do is move one of them on stage and have somebody in the art department paint a combination dial on it.
Now, Sam, a gymnasium locker. Why, when the students see it, they'll simply howl.
But, Alice, do you realize I haven't touched one bit of work all day? The only thing I've done is call people about safes.
Dear, that isn't any more than Henry's done. And, Sam, where am I going to find a gold-plated chandelier with old-fashioned gas lights on it?
What's that?
Dear, we must know someone in this town who owns a thing like that.
Alice, I'll do what I can to find a safe, but I put my foot down on a gold-plated gaslight chandelier.
Now,
listen, Henry. For the last time, I'm not going to eat them.
Homer, don't you realize that this is for the junior class play?
Well, what if it is?
I'm not asking you to eat the oysters for me. I'm asking you to eat them for the junior class.
And I'm still not going to eat them. If I'd known a thing like this was going to happen, I'd have flunked a couple of courses and dropped into the sophomore class.
Homer, you don't have to eat the whole dozen oysters. Not even a half a dozen oysters. You just nibble at 2 or 3. You're rich. You can afford to throw some away.
Well, nobody will ever know I'm rich. Not if they see the dining room table you got me.
Homer, nobody's going to see it's made of sawhorses. I got a tablecloth purposely that comes right down to the floor.
Sure, and it looks like a bed. And I'll tell you one more thing, Henry. I'm not going to wear Prussian lamb.
It isn't Prussian lamb, Homer. It's Persian lamb. And that's a beautiful coat. My Aunt Harriet paid a lot of money for it.
Well, what's the difference? I come onto the stage wearing a woman's Persian lamb coat and a muff for a hat. I sit down at a sawhorse and start to eat oysters that I can't stand. What kind of a millionaire do you think I am?
All right, Homer, all right. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit down and write a letter of resignation to the junior class.
Henry, you're going to quit before you even get me some ketchup for my oysters? Or a safe for me to keep my $1,000 in?
All right, Homer. So far as I'm concerned, you can keep your money in your pocket.
Henry, here's your rose bush. I've got it all fixed for you.
What's that? Mary, is that a rose bush?
Yes, of course it is.
Now listen, Mary, those are nothing but ordinary sweet peas.
Sure they are.
But who's going to notice from the last row?
From the last row? Who's going to sit there?
I am.
All I can say is, Mary, that's the last straw. That's the last straw.
Well, Henry, I'm not going to tear apart my very best hat with roses on it. Would you be any more pleased if I got out that old hat with cherries on it?
Cherries? Are they canned?
What's that?
I like canned cherries.
Homer, will you please tell me what place there is in the play where you eat cherries?
I could eat them instead of oysters.
Off my hat?
What's that? You've got a hat with oysters on it?
Well, so far as I'm concerned, I'm not even interested.
And I hope nobody thinks I'm interested. I'm going to resign.
Well, isn't anybody going to answer the phone?
Why should I answer the phone? As far as I'm concerned, the junior class can...
Oh, gee whiz, what kind of a house is this? Hello?
Is this Mr. Aldrich's residence?
Yes, sir, but Mr. Aldrich isn't here right now.
Well, about that safe he inquired about. Just what kind is it he wants?
That safe? Why, just a nice, good size. Well, you know. What kind have you got?
You want a single or a double door?
Gee whiz, you got one with a double door? That would be good. How big is it?
So big, 5 feet high, maybe?
Gee, that sounds swell.
It's got to be hauled up there, you know.
Sure, but we've got to have it. It's for a very rich man.
Yeah, well, then I guess he won't mind the cartage, will he?
Oh, no. Gee whiz, he's got $1,000 in his pocket. He's got to do something with it.
Okay, I'll get a crew on it right away.
Sam, I think the least you can do is go up to the high school and see that play tonight.
Alice, do you realize in 6 weeks my income tax will be due, and this is one of the few evenings I'm going to have free to get it straightened out?
Just the same, dear, it seems to me that when your own son is practically putting on a play single-handed...
Alice, where's the inkwell that's supposed to be on this desk?
The inkwell? Henry took it over to the auditorium. Homer has to sign a check.
Well, that's a fine thing. Just when I...
Mother?
Oh, Mary, did you get the rose bush finished before Henry left?
Yes, Mother. I made a lot of little rosebuds and tied them on with picture wire.
Really? You took them off your hat?
Oh, no, Mother. I just wired on radishes. They look beautiful.
Alice, did you notice what I did with my income tax papers?
Your tax papers? Where'd you put them?
I thought I put them right here on this desk. At least I started to.
Did you take them out of your briefcase, Father?
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't.
Well, my goodness, Sam, Henry took your briefcase.
He took it? My briefcase?
Dear, you told him the other day he could borrow it. Don't you remember? There's a place in the play where Homer has to take a will out and read it.
And he's going to read my income tax right out to the audience?
Well, Sam, if you hurry, you may be able to catch him over to Anderson's. He's going to stop there and pick up a mirror with a deer.
What went up? Alice, you phone the Andersons, and if Henry's there, tell them to hold him. I'll be right over.
We'll be back with the Aldrich family in just a moment. Right now it's intermission, and time for our intermission guest, the one and only Tommy Dorsey. Okay, Tommy?
Now, getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Mr. Aldrich has just discovered that Henry, without realizing it, has taken his briefcase containing income tax papers for Homer to use in the school play. As the scene opens, Mr. Aldrich is ringing the Anderson front doorbell.
Hello there, Mr. Aldrich.
Good evening, Mrs. Anderson. Is Henry here? I want to speak to him.
No, I'm awfully sorry. Henry left here nearly 10 minutes ago. He picked up a mirror, and he was going over to pick up something at the Lawsons.
At the Lawsons? Thank you very much.
Is there anything I can do for you?
No, thanks. I just want to catch up with him.
Who was it, Mother? Just Mr. Aldrich, dear.
Really? What was it he wanted?
He didn't say. Evidently, he's trying to catch up with Henry so he can help him carry some of those things.
Shall I tell Father we're almost ready to start? The play begins at 8:30, and I have to be there early.
I'm sorry, Kathleen, but your father isn't going to the play.
He isn't?
In fact, your father isn't even speaking to me, dear.
Why not?
You must know the truth, Kathleen. He resents our giving up his deer head.
His what?
That mirror Henry took with a deer head on it.
Oh, that awful thing he gave you on your 10th anniversary?
Mrs. Anderson, Kathleen, are you here?
Yes, Henry, what's the matter?
I leave a briefcase here.
Briefcase? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, here it is, right on the whole table, Henry.
Gee, was that a close shave? I was just leaving the Lawsons when I discovered I'd lost it. Oh, thank you very much, Mrs. Anderson. Ladies and gentlemen. We regret very much that there will be a slight delay in starting the play tonight. But due to the fact that a safe has gotten stuck between the second and third floor windows, there will be a slight delay. And I've been asked to assure you by Miss Eggleston, our faculty advisor, that we'll begin as soon as the men have figured out what the matter is. Thank you.
Listen, I saw the whole thing.
Homer, will you please step back and let me get into the wings here?
I saw the whole thing, Henry, and you wait.
You saw what whole thing?
What you had printed on the program. Look, right here. The oysters that are eaten by Homer Brown in Act 2 are by courtesy of the Centerville Fish Market.
Homer, we had to give them some credit, didn't we?
Well, Centerville Fish Market or no Centerville Fish Market, I'm not going to eat them.
Homer, will you please stand back? The audience can see your costume.
And that's another thing. The starring buffalo robe. The starring buffalo robe that you found in your attic.
You're going to wear your father's raincoat over it, aren't you? That buffalo robe just looks like a very good line.
And I suppose you think I didn't notice the roses. Radishes. Here I am, a millionaire, and I'm ashamed to walk into my own dining room.
Okay, Homer, okay. Then you go ahead and run the show yourself from here on.
You mean you're going to resign again?
I might, Homer. I might very easily resign.
But Henry...
Homer, what's the matter with Henry?
Kathleen, I was just standing here talking to him about... He's so darn sensitive. Oh, listen, Kathleen, is my mustache on straight?
It's on straight, but couldn't you have gotten a better one, Homer?
What's the matter with it? I paid a dime for it.
My goodness, they had some nice ones for 15 cents.
15 cents? Do you think I'm a millionaire? What's that you've got in your hand?
My egg beater.
Oh, boy, where's my briefcase? Oh, here it is.
You have to use that?
Sure, don't you know I take my will out and stand there looking at it for a minute and then get mad and tear it up?
Oh, yes.
And that reminds me, where's my will?
Isn't there anything in the briefcase?
Oh, sure, here's some papers. Well, I've got to give Henry credit for that. To remember to get one thing right for me.
Hello?
Hello, is it Harriet Pryor?
Yes.
Harriet, this is Sam Aldrich. Is Henry there?
Henry? Oh, why, he was here half an hour ago. He borrowed 12 oyster forks.
Where was he going from there? To the school?
No, to the Centerville Fish Market and then to the school.
That's all I wanted to know. Goodbye.
How's it going, Henry? How's it going?
You were fine, Kathleen, but boy, Homer.
But the audience is liking it.
That isn't Homer's fault, though. He's forgotten his lines 4 times. And when he took his coat off, he forgot the buffalo robe, and it stayed pinned around his neck.
My goodness.
Look at him out there. He looks like a bear.
Henry!
Gee whiz, Father, are you allowed to come backstage?
Where's my briefcase?
I haven't forgotten it, Father. And, boy, have you noticed what a mess Homer's making of things? He keeps calling it a radish bush.
Henry, where is the briefcase?
We've got it, Father. There's nothing to worry about. And do you know what Homer did with the oysters? Instead of eating them, he slipped them in his pocket.
Henry, where's the briefcase?
Right out there on the stage. Homer's got it.
With my income tax papers?
Oh, gee whiz. Is that your income tax he's reading?
Henry, when does he bring them off?
Bring them off? Oh, he doesn't. He tears them up and throws them in the fireplace.
Henry, walk out there on the stage and get those papers.
Who, I? Oh, no, Father. In front of all those people?
Henry, for the last time, I have to have those papers.
Well, look, Father, I'll try to whistle to him. Oh, gee whiz, I'm so excited I can't even whistle.
Look out.
Father, where are you going?
Where do you think I'm going? I'm going to get them.
And now I am going to destroy this will and cut my daughter off for life.
Homer, ground.
Gee whiz, Mr. Aldrich.
Homer, give me those papers.
Who, me? I've got to tear them. They're my will. But, Mr. Aldrich, this is my big scene.
Let go of them.
Hey, Mr. Aldrich, wait a minute. Oh, gee whiz, there goes the darn deer mirror.
Some bacon, Sam?
No, thank you.
You certainly haven't eaten much breakfast, dear.
I've eaten all the breakfast I care to, thank you.
Now, Sam, you can't go through life being upset over a little thing like last night.
I am not upset. I was just wondering how it would be if I gave up my practice here in town and opened an office in Abbott City.
Now, Sam, I'm sure nobody even noticed you.
No.
Mother!
Yes, Mary?
Mother, I've been thinking. And don't you suppose we could move to Abbott City or someplace where people don't know Father?
Mary, please go out in the kitchen and make me some more toast.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, of course.
Father! Henry, I don't think your father wants to talk to you right now.
And, Mother, the man that hauled the safe for Father just called and said that due to the fact it was easier to get it down than up, the return trip will only be $22.
What's that?
I'll answer the phone.
Sam, here's a review.
A review?
Of the play in the morning paper. Listen. One of the most hilarious evenings this town has ever enjoyed took place in the Centerville High School auditorium last evening. The highlight was the guest performance of Samuel Aldrich, prominent local attorney.
What's that?
Who made his entrance in what was erroneously listed on the program as a wealthy gentleman's dining room. The scene was actually on the Western Plains, and when Mr. Aldrich caught the buffalo single-handed, wrestled with it, and threw it into the cave with the double doors, the audience went wild.
What's that? Now, wait a minute.
Do you think this letter is clear enough?
What letter, Henry? What letter?
I'm sending a copy to each one of the 7 people that loaned us one of their table leaves.
Oh.
It says, Dear Mrs. So-and-so, this is to thank you for loaning us your leaf. But due to a slight mix-up, will you please have your husband come to the school auditorium Monday morning with either a leaf that matches or some part of your dining room table so that we can eliminate this little confusion.
This rebroadcast of the Aldrich family is a presentation of the Armed Forces Radio Service.